Welcome back, my friends, to the DerateTheHate.com podcast. I am Wilk from WilksWorld.com, and this is going to be episode 23 of our podcast. Today we are going to be talking about keeping the peace of mind. All right, folks, before I get started, I want to real quick welcome our first affiliate, Instacart. Instacart is a very cool way to do some online shopping for groceries and things such as that. Very convenient, very easy way to do it. And all you got to do, visit our site at DerateTheHate.com, and you can click on one of the banner ads, and it is an affiliate. It doesn't cost you any extra to go through it through our site, but I do get a spiff back for that visit. So just like I said, go to DerateTheHate.com, click on one of the banner ads for Instacart, and that would be greatly appreciated for us. So back to our podcast. The reason I say keeping the peace of mind is because I don't necessarily mean, well, in a way I do mean peace between you and other people, and between me and other people, because this is something I practice very religiously. But keeping the peace of mind is not only keeping the peace between you and other people, but keeping peace in your own mind, keeping that sanity that you need to be a good and productive person. And like I say in each of our episodes now, what have you done today to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make this world a better place? So when I say keeping the peace of mind, what is it that you can do to make sure that you are not, I don't know, rustling up the feathers of other people or causing yourself undue stress by getting into arguments with other people, when the reality is do you really change somebody's mind when you are maybe starting an argument or picking back and forth with somebody or constantly bickering and at somebody for really no reason? Because a lot of times those little bicker sessions between other people or those arguments that you have with somebody on social media or little text battles really don't do any good, and they really aren't going to sway that person's position in a way that's going to be productive or be helpful. So when I ask, what have you done today to make your life a better life, or what have you done today to make the world a better place? Did you start an argument with somebody online knowing that argument was not going to accomplish anything? It really wasn't going to sway their position. So by speaking up, speaking your mind is one thing, and throwing ideas out there is one thing, but there are certain people that you absolutely know for certain you're not going to sway their opinion on certain things. So then why, unless you get a kick out of starting bicker sessions with people or starting arguments with people, why would you do it? So, I want you to think back, and if you haven't had a chance to, go back to episodes 12 through 15, I believe it was, of our Derate the Hate podcast. And episode 12 was called Be Proactive, Be Responsible. And it was part of a small series I did on the book by Dr. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And part of that book, or part of the beginning of that book, and before he really gets into the 7 habits themselves, is the idea of being responsible, being able to choose our response. And why is that important when it comes to the topic that I'm talking about right now? I'll bring up a funny thing I heard a comedian say one time. I believe it was Ron White. He said, I think he was being arrested, or the bit that he was doing, he was talking about being arrested, and he said something to the effect of, I had the right to remain silent, but I did not have the ability. And I always think that's hilarious, and I think it's hilarious in the comical sense, but in the sense of reality, we have to be able to choose our response. And like in episode 12, we talk about being proactive and being responsible, being able to choose our response. When we see somebody post something online, or we, or in person, if we hear somebody say something that is just outrageously false or just, negative or whatever the case may be, we have to step back and compartmentalize that really quick, because if we engage them in some type of an argument, does it really make sense to do that? Does it make sense to engage in that argument? Is it going to change things for the better? Because even if you know you are 100% correct, even if you know that you are right, before you say anything, does it make sense to say anything? Because the only way that's going to make sense is if you think you can change their mind. Now, if you can't change their mind, what are you really going to accomplish? Because much like a bullet from a gun, once the words are said, you can't take them back. Once that argument has started and things start to fly and words start to fly, like a bullet from a gun, you can't reach out and grab those words before they hit that person. And is it going to have your intended result? Now, for me personally, I look at a lot of these situations, and before I engage in some of the things that I could say, because there's a whole lot of people out there right now saying a whole lot of stuff that makes absolutely no sense. It's totally false. It's just garbage. It's hateful. It's negative. It's whatever. But I have to take into account my audience. And I don't mean my audience for the DerateTheHate.com podcast. I mean my direct audience, the people that I am directly speaking to, whether it be in person, whether it be over the phone or through some text message conversation, or some people online that want to engage me in some type of argument or back and forth banter. Is it really going to make a difference if I look at this post that they just posted, or if I look at some ridiculous thing that they just said? Is it going to help out my overall stead in life to say something to them when I know what I'm about to say is going to fall on deaf ears? Or worse in their opinion of whether it be me or the situation at hand or whatever. If I know that they are totally false, and I think that I can possibly change the outcome of their opinion on the situation, I may engage them. But if I know it's not going to actually do anything to change their mind, and I know it's just going to blow up the situation into an argument, or I know it's just going to continuously build a further negativity in that relationship between me and that person, does it really make sense to say anything? Because if I say something, it's not going to make me any more right, and it's not going to make them any more wrong, but it is going to affect that peace. And ultimately, it's going to affect my peace of mind, right? A long time ago, and I may have mentioned this before in a previous podcast, and I will most certainly mention it again, but a long time ago, I was having a conversation with my father, and my father's been passed on now for several years, and it's a conversation I will never, ever forget. But that conversation with my father, which was about a topic I'm not going to get into on this podcast, but I asked him, I said, Dad, what do you hold sacred? What is it that you really hold sacred? And he said back to me, he said, my sanity, my peace of mind. And that's the one thing that he held most sacred, was his own sanity and his own peace of mind. And he would not engage in arguments that he knew would accomplish nothing. He did not engage in arguments that made no sense, because the end result of that argument would do nothing to improve his day, would do nothing to improve his lot in life, would do nothing to make him any more right, even if he knew he was right and the other person was wrong. But what it did was it helped him to maintain his own sanity. He was responsible for his own sanity, and he knew it. And he used that and lived by that up until the day that he died. And I can't stress to you enough the importance of that. You are responsible for what you say. And if you have a situation where speaking up is not going to do you any good, why would you subject yourself to that lack of peace? Is it going to give you more of a peace of mind? Do you think you're going to be more right by saying it? If you don't, maybe it's better kept unsaid. Maybe it's best, to leave that person wrong. Because you saying what you're going to say isn't going to make them any more wrong. And you saying what you're going to say isn't going to make them any more right. But ultimately, it's going to affect your peace between you and them and your peace of mind. It's just going to. So, anyways, that is going to be the episode 23 of the Derate the Hate podcast. Keeping the peace of mind. You're responsible for keeping your peace of mind. You're responsible for keeping the peace between you and somebody else. So, with that, I'm going to dive right into our feel-good story of the week, like I said last week, and I'm going to start to say every week. If you get a chance, if you see something in the news, your local news, a story that probably didn't make the national news, but a feel-good story nonetheless, something that you think would really stand out and that I would appreciate seeing, because I love a feel-good story. The news, the national news especially, is full of nothing but just horrible things. If it bleeds, it leads. There's too much negativity out there. So if you see something that you think I would like to see and that you would like other people to know about, send it to me. Send it to me in a private message on Facebook, and I'm going to I'll possibly use it for the Derate the Hate podcast. And if I do, I'm going to send you a free gift. So do this. Send me your contact information with the story, a link to the story in a private message on Facebook. Look for our DerateTheHate.com podcast Facebook page. Send it to me in a private message. And if I use it, I'm going to send you a free gift. And this week's feel-good story is a story about a couple of kids, Cooper Hyde and Zach Wilson. My mother-in-law actually sent me this story, and I love it. It's a beautiful story. It's a very heartwarming story, very powerful story about a youngster named Cooper Hyde. His folks, while they were pregnant with Cooper, they found out that he had Down syndrome and he had a number of other issues. So the story starts out like this. Sometimes magical things happen when two lives cross paths. 6 years ago, a then 12-year-old preteen met a 9-month-old with Down syndrome, and two lives were changed. This is the story of Cooper and Zach. Brooke and Andy Hyde were shocked. It was 6 years ago when they learned that their unborn baby had issues. Brooke and Andy knew they were in for a challenge, so they asked God for help and welcomed Cooper into the world. Well, this story, I got to tell you, this story gives me goosebumps. I've read over it a number of times, and this story gives me goosebumps because little Cooper was born. He had issues. He had to have surgeries right away, and little Cooper's folks were looking for help from God, looking for the strength that they were going to need to get through this long journey. And Zach Wilson found out. He was a young preteen, doing all the things that regular preteen boys do and teenage boys do: football, baseball, basketball. Doing his deal, and through his church, the Cross Point Church in Argo, they were looking for folks to get in on a buddy system, and this is how the paths crossed. Those two paths of young Cooper Hyde and Zach Wilson. Those paths crossed. They became good friends, and Zach Wilson has been a very big part of Cooper Hyde's life up to this point. And I can only imagine he's going to continue to do so because they're great friends. They're going to be lifelong friends. Absolutely beautiful story. The story was actually, I believe it was written or put on Facebook by a Rick Carl from WVTM 13. I have a post on the Derate the Hate podcast Facebook page. where I shared it. It's a great story. If you get a chance to do it, don't miss it. Go to our Facebook page, check it out, and I believe you'll find that story to be as heartwarming and as powerful as I did. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up this week's episode and just say again, what have you done to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make the world a better place? When you get back out there, be kind to one another. Keep the peace. Be kind to one another. Be grateful for everything that you've got. And remember, it's ultimately up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. So, with that, I'm going to back on out of here. I'm going to say thank you very much from everybody here at Wilkes World, and we'll catch you next week.